Hello, it's Daughter of Lilith. I'm back with another Demon Diary, and I'm refilming this because last I did, I got sort of off topic. So today I wanted to chat about Belial. He's sort of a prequel to Azazel, so I'm kind of going backward a little bit, but that's okay. So at the time, this was back in December of last year. I was not a theistic Satanist then. Lilith was my main focus, just her, and I was polytheistic, and I understood the demons to be ancient gods. And I was more interested in working with the Goetia, or spirits of the Goetia, without working with the Goetia, if you know what I mean. Without going to Solomonic methods to work with these spirits. So I purchased 2 books. I purchased the complete book of Demonology by S. Connolly. I haven't had much use for the rituals and things in there because my dumb ass forgot that Demonology is a hermetic practice, and I'm not really into hermetics. But I did also purchase this book, which is Goetia Pathworking by Corwin Hargrove, and this is a completely different method. Now, it is taken from ceremonial magic, and I believe the author, is a ceremonial magician, but the method is completely different than how I understand ceremonial magic to be, although it has some of the basic principles like calling in the elements. So for some fucking reason, I felt really drawn to Belial when I got this book, and I was like, you know what, this method here, I'm not evoking him, and I'm not fully invoking him. This is pathworking. So let's just introduce my energies, because I had heard all these things about how serious and intimidating and a big deal Belial is, So I just didn't want to rush anything. And so I used this page, this sigil here. And I mainly introduced my energies to him, but I also decided to test this book and put forth a request. Now, if you own this book, then you know what the criteria are for that, and that the author includes possible requests to put forth to each spirit. And so I chose emanating personal power, because I figured, who doesn't need more of that? And and it's just something that as a magician, I'm always working toward anyway. And for me, that means like having control over my life. It's not really about popularity or anything like that, as this channel is proof of. 500 subscribers to what? Maybe 100 views, girl. Anyway. So I did that, and I felt his energy for sure. I felt an energy, I'll say. Because later down the line, with actually invoking him, possibly evoking him, it's a much different feel. Okay, way more contact than this. This is kind of, it's like calling them up on the phone, or like leaving a voicemail even. That's how I would describe this method, which is not bad. Like, it's not a bad system at all. It's very efficient. It's just that if you want to have a full ass conversation with the spirit, that's not really going to happen with this, although it could. It's just not designed to do that. So right after I used this, I think it was either the same night or the next night, I met Satan. Now, the circumstances around that are unique to itself, and that deserves its own video. I just mention it here because it kind of is relevant again later. So, meeting Satan, you're going to be focused on him. So I actually wasn't looking at any other demons, really. I did have some interactions with other demons. but really I was consumed by wanting to know everything I could about Satan. Because you have to understand, I came to this through paganism and never paid any attention to the concept of the devil or even just the adversary in general. So it was like uncovering all these things. Yeah. So I was really consumed with that. And then I did a satanic baptism, and that was to remove myself from baptisms made without my consent as a child, which many of us have gone through, and basically reclaim me for myself. And it's very interesting that right after that, I want to say like maximum 2 days after that ceremony, Belial came forth again. And this time it was on his own, and I felt that I should set aside time to contact him. So I did. I could look at my notes for the specifics, but I'll just speak freely. Basically, his energy was okay, of course, more intense than the pathworking method, obviously. I was involving a black mirror and all that, so and some offerings, and it was very heavy, like gravity, like a magnet, and very dark. And by dark, I mean like literally dark, like an abyss. And he kept showing me this like imagery with volcanoes, which might sound odd, but like the magma cooling into earth. So it was like fire and liquid, like a liquid fire, molten hot substances, hardening, becoming dense into something material, something black and shiny, like volcanic glass. And so this to me signaled his alchemy. That we were going to take passion and emotion and make it tangible, whatever that meant. So I got a feel for him there, and that was cool. But something we kept going over because Belial, if you don't know, means worthless. Or Belial, I think is how you properly pronounce it. Belial. But I pronounce it Belial, sorry. So we were going over things like what make me feel worthless. And as someone who's done a lot of shadow work prior, I thought I knew the answer to this question. And we went over it, and I was like, yeah, it was refreshing. But I couldn't help but feel like I'm not really making progress, or I'm convincing myself that I'm making progress, and really I'm just going over what I've already learned. It was kind of around the time that I had that thought that something happened. I had a date. It didn't go well. It didn't go badly in an entertaining way. It was mainly the first date I ever had where the other person was completely didn't give a shit about me, like didn't want to have a conversation with me, didn't want to engage with me, despite the fact that this person asked me out and arranged the whole date, so they had no right to be such a jackass. Very, very, very rude. Like, I literally couldn't talk about the most basic things with them, and I tried to, like, change the subject if they seemed not interested. They just didn't want to fucking talk about anything. They didn't want to do anything. They basically put me on their lunch break. It was just like, did you set up this whole date just to reject me? That was like what the feeling was. And I was so angry. Like, I was so angry about it, which normally a bad date, I'm just like, ha ha ha, and I like move on. But I felt worthless. Like, I felt like shit. And that's what made me angry. Like, I was just like, I haven't felt like this in a long time. Like they reminded me of some dark shit in my life, and over something so small. Like it's such a small thing. And I thought that like working with Belial, we'd be tackling like, you know, sexual assault things and like child abuse and stuff that I had like been through, that I have mostly worked through. And I think Belial caught on to that, like, no, you've worked through that. We don't need to like go through that pain again. What we need to do is address this minor thing that actually has a big impact on you that you're not willing to admit does, you know? So once I realized that that's what that was, you know, I'm not saying that it all happened for a reason, but I'm saying like Belial took the opportunity to teach me about that. I was like, fuck, like that's right, like fuck, oh. And then I had a great date right after, so it's good. But like I was like, shit, yeah, like why was I so mad about that when I have two other wonderful partners? I already had cool conversations with like three other people that I could arrange dates with. You know, I had a great date after, and I hung out with good friends after that horrible date too. So like, you know, why did I let that crush me? And exploring that and acknowledging the lesson in that, as small as it may seem, as mundane as that is, I think, you know, the mundane is where we can learn a lot about the inner world, because if you do all this work and then in practice like it doesn't show, then there's no point, you know, as above so below. It should all carry through. um that, and I've noticed like my clairaudient abilities were stronger with Belial. His voice when he does talk, which is not super often, when he does talk, very clear, like the words are very clear, although the meaning of the words isn't always clear. And it's not nonsense, but like, well, there was one thing he gave me that I was like, is this fucking nonsense? Like, is he fucking with me? Um, and that was interesting. I managed to make the thing he gave me into like a riddle and solve it. So that was interesting. It was like a puzzle. But it was kind of like right after realizing the issue around the date and like what that triggered. And like coming to terms with that and being like, yeah, okay. That all of a sudden, that's when like Azazel kind of entered. And I know it sounds like I'm jumping around different spirits, but like honestly, since I connected with Satan, they're all over the place. So I'm trying to like slow them down, but that's why I'm trying to make these diaries, so like I can piece together stuff, because I was like, why is Azazel coming to me? I was working with Belial, and I'm realizing now, like with Azazel being about beauty and strength and freedom and choice, that's a big thing. Because if you look at like the mythology, Satan, Lucifer, did not choose to fall, but Azazel did. Azazel made that choice. So it's interesting following Belial, that worthlessness, the abyss. And then with Azazel, it's like I'm being lifted up and we can choose to dive into it. Like we can choose to fall and be okay with that, because building up a different kind of self-worth within, which I thought I had already, you know, I thought I had done completely. You know, most people who meet me be like, you're really fucking confident and shit. And I have to give Lilith most of the credit for that. And myself, but like, and then Satan, you know, without me knowing, Satan was a big part of that. But with Azazel, it's different. It's like a whole different level of self-worth and confidence that, not even confidence, it's like self-love. As cheesy as that sounds, I don't like saying self-love because I feel like it paints a different picture than what I'm talking about. It's like a completeness. That's what it is. It's like a completeness with Azazel. It's like you should be comfortable with where you are, because without where you are, how could you be where you want to be? You know, you have to start here. And so, you know, concluding with Belial over, yeah, I feel worthless, to, okay, you're worthless to other people. What are you worth to yourself? And that's what I feel like Azazel's kind of started to teach me through. I'll follow that up when I keep working with Azazel, because I'm planning on making more videos about him. And I already forgot to mention something in my previous video about him, so I'm gonna have to put that in the next one. But I just found it interesting. You know, I feel like Belial, he's going at his pace with me, and he's gonna come back when he sees it to be necessary. And so I'm gonna just trust him to do that. You know, he's got a place on my altar now. I've painted him a picture. It was not of him, because he didn't seem like the kind of demon who wanted a portrait. So I painted him something with his sigil and colors I thought he'd like for some reason. Very different colors than what I saw when I saw him. But because when I did see him, it was like black, gray, red. But the colors I painted were like earthy colors for some reason, like greens and browns and like tans, deep browns, deep greens. I don't know. It felt right, so I trusted it. When you're an artist and a witch, you gotta like just trust these things. He seems to be happy with it. Happy with the shitty wine I had. I felt so bad. I had this really shitty dessert wine. I just got it because it was like pretty. I didn't think about the fact that it was dessert wine, and it was so sweet. I don't like sweet wine. I don't mind it being fruity, but I need it to be like dry. Oh god, it was just like so much in there. He seemed happy with it though. Then again, I know that spirits, they don't really give a shit about the taste of things, because I've seen Lilith fucking change the taste of things all the time. So whatever, they can make it whatever they want it to be. Sorry, yeah. And I saw a little bit of Belial's like silly side, which threw me off, because he was very, very serious for most of me working with him. And that's what made me think he was pranking me with the riddle thing. Belial he's got that trickster vibe for sure, when he wants it. But I wouldn't say he's like, I don't know, I think a lot of people think of him as like a liar. I don't think that at all. I think he's just tricky, and he's going to challenge you, and you need to like not take, as with all infernal spirits, you should not take anything simply at face value. You should always reflect on it after ritual, because they know how arrogant we can be, and we are coming to our own conclusion, but we should reflect. That's part of our lessons with them. We should reflect and like see different ways of concluding and then confirm it, you know. So that's what I want to say about Belial. Let me know in the comments what your experiences with him have been. How does your gnosis differ from mine? What methods do you like to use to contact him? What offerings do you like to give him? I've seen a lot of people say chocolate, which makes sense to me for some reason, but like, I didn't give him any chocolate. I gave him wine, and some blood, and the painting, and I think something else, incense. Yeah, let me know what that's like for you, because I don't like this being a one-sided conversation. This is me just sharing my experiences, and if you have a different experience, that doesn't mean one of us is lying or something. It just means that we are perceiving a spirit in a different way, and that's great. If you are so inclined, it'd be wonderful if you subscribed and like clicked like or something, or whatever the YouTube spiel is, and have fun. I'm going to be coming out with more videos soon about different spirits, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be reading your comments. So comment wisely.